to jump into a very interesting conversation because we're very happy for the first time ever to have. I think you are still the newly minted because you were given this position last quarter of 2024, right? So I haven't had the pleasure of interviewing you since you took the onerous task of being the head of all Mfantsipim. I was looking at the etymology of the name. I think it's Mfantsipim. Is that what it means?
It's a host of scholars for change.
A host. So Apim is thousands, right? A host of scholars for change. All right. Founded in
1876.
Wow. Before Ghana was founded.
Yes.
The Wesley girls say they are the first school in Ghana. But I won't argue that today.
We are the first secondary school.
You are the first secondary school.
Wesley Girls was a primary girls' school.
Okay. Well,
the oldest primary before it became secondary.
They say they were vocational. Anyway, they are your sisters, so no problem. And so the school is how old? 100 and what?
Well, we're 149. We'll be 150 next year.
Wow.
So we started to mark 150 years of secondary education in Ghana.
150 years of anything is serious. Much less a school, which is such a... Wow, 150 years. I mean... Let's talk about what that means for Ghana. What does Mfantsipim represent for Ghana? Because this is 1870 what?
1876. It's 150 years of secondary education.
Yeah.
And Mfantsipim is etched into the history of Ghana indelibly. And it's the fabric of what our society is. It's also a beacon of hope.
Mm-hmm.
And a history of progress and enlightenment. And... all Mfantsipim boys, MOBA, Mfantsipim Boys Association, we've had this association since July 1949.
Wow.
And the idea was to encourage the old boys to continue giving back to the school and to the country and becoming role models in society that people emulate. So the Mfantsipim Boys Association, it used to be a lifetime position to be president. We say Ebusuapanyin. You know, we also very nationalistic.
Yeah.
When it started as Richmond College, our motto was in Latin, I think, honor honoris or something like that. But then in 1905, a group of old boys who were also the lead actors in the Aboriginal Rights Protection Society formed the Fanti School Public Schools Limited. They floated a company in London to raise money to introduce a kind of not just Eurocentric, but also African nationalistic education to Ghana. They wanted the Methodist Church, the Christianity, they wanted the technology and science of Europe, but most of all, they also wanted an African-centered education to build a new African.
Correct.
And they provided money to this Fanti Public Schools Limited. But in 1907, they decided to merge it with the Richmond College, which was the ongoing Methodist Church that they had gone to. But there were conditions. They did a deal with the Methodist Church to change the name from Richmond College to Mfantsipim. And then
correct.
And then to change the Latin motto to a fancy one, Dwen Hwe Kan.
Yeah.
This reflects the kind of idea of how they wanted to radically change society into an African-centric, progressive society instead of a Eurocentric, colonial-type education.
Wow.
So these members from Mensa Saba to Agre to J.P. Brown to, you know, all the great, Digaf Johnson, all these great men that you see in the history of Ghana, they then, some of them donated lands. You heard of the great Kwabotwe, and he had given land to the Methodist Church for the purpose of setting up this school. And so Kwabotwe, the hills on which it's built, is the hill of Kwabotwe.
Okay.
And you know, these are the people that went to London to argue that the Gold Coast lands belong to Ghana, and the Crown couldn't take it over. He paid personally for it. And, you know, Mensa Saba, that great Mfantsipim old boy, he also did all the legal work for free for the people of Gold Coast. So People like J.P.
Was
Brown.
Saba a foundational student?
Yes.
Saba was a foundational student.
Saba was, and so many, and in fact, there's so many great people, sometimes you even forget to mention. But Saba is remembered because he was key. His family also gave some of the land.
Yeah.
And
He's also the
J.P.
first
Brown,
Ghanaian lawyer,
yes,
properly so called.
Yes, yeah.
Although there were other.
The first Ghanaian lawyer. He was a Stanton. I think we were doing a book on him as well. It seems like we have to revive his history. Some of these selfless people that have set a great example that we have to follow. At this time, he even set up a prize in the school in London in the name of his brother, who also was to Mfantsipim but died young. So in 150 years, we've started a lot of events that leads up to 150 years. It's going to be very big. It's not just about Mfantsipim or MOBA. It's just about the idea about the importance of enlightenment, of sacrifice, of giving back, and of this whole secondary school movement that has given us this kind of nationalism where we're all sort of united, and finding those ethos and those values back.
Were students in those days from other parts of the country, or were they? Because when I look at your faithful eight, I think they were all Fantis at the time.
No, it's just the name confuses people.
Is it?
People say it's 1,000 Fantis, like as a host of scholars for change. So, but no, there are people, for instance, from Volta region who come.
I was talking about the
families.
I'm talking about the first.
The
first batch.
Amato and all these people. The first Ghanaian to be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize is a genius. He went to Mfantsipim. The first black footballer that played professional in the UK. I can't remember his name. Arthur Wharton. They went to Mfantsipim.
Yeah.
There are all kinds of people from different places doing different things. And because the school's 150 years, sometimes we even forget them. I have to look. If you look at what Amato did, he was a brilliant scholar.
Yeah.
And he was from the Volta. He wasn't from Mfantsipim. So even the first students is a mixed thing. But of course, Cape Coast was the center of the Gold Coast. So you find that most of the people that contributed, like, put money into Pargrand went to Mfantsipim.
Okay.
Into building UGCC and so on.
Yeah.
These were mostly Fanti merchants because they traded with the British. So you find a lot of Fanti influence in terms of the finance of political movements, finance of education, but the beneficiaries are all over the world, all over the country. So and also you look at examples of what people did. Someone like Parker, who was the Methodist Book Depot manager in Cape Coast, a British guy. He said his work was the Methodist Book Depot and his hobby was in Mfantsipim.
Okay.
And when he died, he left his estate to residual estate to Mfantsipim to fund scholarships for, and he wasn't even Ghanaian.
He later became a headmaster, right?
No, people thought he was a headmaster, but he actually was the manager of the Methodist Book Depot.
Okay.
In Cape Coast. He said his work was the Methodist Book Depot, but his hobby was in
Mfantsipim.
And during his stay there, he went to all 26 speech days of Mfantsipim. Even when he was on vacation, he made sure he would come back for the speech day.
Wow.
And famously, he said that his own alma mater, he had only been to 5 speech days of his own alma mater.
Obviously from
the UK.
From the UK.
But he had been to 26 of Mfantsipim speech days. And when he died, his residual estate was used to fund scholarships for over a decade.
Is that why we have a something Parker House?
Yeah, Pickup
Parker House. I see.
Pickup Parker.
Wow. Which means that it was an experiment that worked, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely,
right. Why are we here? I mean, I'm the 5th Ebusuapanyin, but
Just the 5th?
Because it used to be a lifetime position.
So you had to die before?
Until...
oh, my God.
Until the 4th Ebusuapanyin, Captain Paul Fojo. He then modernized it.
You can't wait for me to die. I will not die now.
It's not a corporate, a non-profit, limited by guarantee company, the MOBA. And the term of the Ebusuapanyin is now limited.
Okay.
You can only do 2 terms, 5 years each.
Correct.
10. But in the end, I mean, but Phillips, J.L. Phillips was the first Ebusuapanyin. He was there forever. And if you died, another one you play. So we've modernized and we've moved on. And so the 150 years, Bartels' book, we launched the logo. There are a lot of activities. But one of the important things is our first headmaster.
Your first African headmaster.
African headmaster.
First African headmaster.
Who was the first African headmaster of the great schools, Mfantsipim.
Yeah.
And to read his book.
So who wrote this book?
Bartels.
Oh, this is his own book.
And it was released. It's been released posthumously.
Ooh.
Is it?
Yes, but he wrote it and he put the manuscript in the hands of one of his students.
Okay.
For two of his students, Dr. Andrew Akutu and Professor Emeritus Atusechi Otu. They had the manuscript. And his dying wishes were that they should publish the book and all the intellectual property and the rights of the book and the revenue from the book should go to the Mfantsipim Old Boys Association.
Of course.
So it was handed over by her daughters. And for 2 years, the fourth Ebusuapanyin, Captain Pofojo, and Dr. Akutu, Atusechi, and the daughters of FLB Bartels have been trying to bring his wishes
To pass.
to pass. And so when I was elected as the fifth Ebusuapanyin, then I was brought into this inner circle to come and finish the work. But I did very little.
Okay. Which means he had handwritten this and handed it over to
Yes.
the
To
two
them.
students.
And it's a beautiful book.
And they've been working on this for since when?
Yeah. Oh, I think he died in 2010.
Because he was headmaster till 61.
Yes, and then he went to UNESCO.
So he died in 2010. This is
Yes.
just 15 years ago.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
And its students are amazing. I mean, you know,
So what is this?
Kofi
So is this book a history of Mfantsipim?
In
Or-
Mfantsipim, he has about 5 books, but tells himself.
Okay.
There's very nice ones. I like the Persistence of Paradox. It's a very beautiful book. You should buy it.
The Persistence
I
of
like it the best.
Paradox.
Yes, it's also about Mfantsipim.
Yeah.
And then this is a very deep book. You know, I mean, I don't think they make headmasters like this. I'll send you one, Bernard. I mean, when you read it,
I like this.
I mean, you're going to be excited. It's so profound.
Yeah.
I was thinking about how
Yeah.
to balance individual education
Yeah.
with community education, the friction between
Yeah.
your family interest, the village interest, the subgroups you come from,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
European technology, and how that fits into a modern African education.
I've heard a bit about
Yeah.
the persistence of paradox, and I think it was in relation to how, when the school started, it survived against all odds, because I think there were many forces that didn't either want the school to survive or didn't want to support it. But the people in the community decided that it must succeed at all
You
costs.
see the sacrifice
Yeah.
and the determination and the passion and the values and the higher morals and ethics. You know, they don't make it like that anymore.
Now we get education on a silver platter.
So this book, when headmasters read them, my verdict is that it will inspire them, but to also make them feel inadequate. Because the thinking is so deep, you know, and the
And this is a
sacrifice-
headmaster from 1949.
Yes, he assumed office from 1940. He was headmaster acting before,
Okay.
and even the boys didn't like him because he wasn't British. And so the teachers were like, but this is the guy.
How do you
He was an old boy.
But where was he trained?
Oh, he was trained. He got a first degree. Then he went to Wesley. What's it called? This priest training school.
Okay.
Then he went to London and did a master's.
So West.
No,
Okay.
a double master's, and then after came back. But when he was first made acting headmaster by Lockhart, Lockhart's one of our great headmasters. Very philosophical guy, right? And he's
R.A. Lockhart.
Yes.
Lockhart. British?
British, yeah.
Okay.
And he picked him up to say this guy is going to be the next headmaster. When they made him assistant headmaster, the nationals didn't like it. And so when one of the, I've forgotten which one, but one of the headmasters came back and was made substantive headmaster, the British guy. Batel says in this book that a student remarked that Manana Yenya being, you know, and that really affected him. So what did he say?
To which what?
What did they mean by that? That means he wasn't the man. So he realized that the headmaster from Mfantsipim, he needed to go and study some more. That's why he went and left, came to London. When he came back, he became greater than the British
predecessors.
ones. Yes.
Yeah.
And 150 years, we launched it with Headmaster Remembers.
So just talk to me about some of the things you've been doing to build up to around 50. Obviously, this book, getting it published is one.
Yes.
Because it's been in the works for 15 years. What else is happening to build up to this 150 years?
We're reforming the whole of MOBA. We have a brand new secretariat coming up, which is going to be a very professional secretariat, looking at the next 150 years. There's a feeling that we sort of gone backwards. You know, I mean, a lot of Mfantsipim boys, children are not even going to Mfantsipim anymore. They are going to very expensive private schools. So the question is, why do we send our children to other schools, pay obnoxious amounts of money for a school that we don't even know what their values are in terms of the depths of our history.
Yeah.
And then we don't even donate to those schools. We turn back and go and give
donate to
school.
your school.
It's
yes, you can't send your kids there.
You know, I believe.
But that means it's not an Mfantsipim problem. It's more a Ghana
it's a
problem.
national problem.
Yeah, it's not,
but we have to look at it, be realistic. I mean, I support the progressively. I mean, free SHS is good, but there certainly must be special schools that train different kinds of leaders.
Yeah.
You know, and there should be a mix of interesting stakeholders. And it doesn't make sense. My suddenly go to Mfantsipim is something that makes me very sad. You know, that's an argument with my wife that she won, right?
Yeah.
The 4 Ebusuapanyin's children didn't go to Mfantsipim.
So it didn't even start with you.
Yes.
It didn't start with you.
And when I go to the school my son went to, which is SOS, I find a lot of Mfantsipim stickers.
Because almost all the Mfantsipim
it's
kids
sad.
go there.
Paying about 20 grand a year, $20,000 a year. Just 20 students going to that school can pay the whole money that Mfantsipim gets from the government.
And the quality you go while you're at Kwabotwe, you would say similar to what your boy is getting at SOS?
For
the time.
I mean,
is this worth its weight in gold?
No, it's I mean, you see, Mfantsipim is not just a place, and it's not just the education. Mfantsipim is an idea. You know, it's a certain idea of how one has to live and how one has to affect society, right? So once you're there, it's not just academics. In fact, when there are no teachers there, you still feel the spirit that you have to do something great. Because there are people to look up to.
Yeah.
So it's like you see somebody walking on water and you say, oh, if this guy can walk on water, then I can. So you're always aspiring to something higher. I mean, as an Mfantsipim boy, even if you do something that is not quite right, it knocks at your spirit. Because you're not supposed to do that. You get me? I mean, the first thing I think about, even before I became Ebusuapanyin, is that I'm a Mfantsipim deputy head boy. So wherever I go, I reflect something. So I have to be careful what I say, what I do. Do you understand me? I have to be careful. I don't do anything criminal. I don't say anything. No, you have to be proper. It's a tradition. So it's beyond education. Once you have that, I mean, you go and you look at, I mean, when I speak to the older Mfantsipim boys, even today, the kind of character they have and the persona that they exude, it inspires me. You should meet some of them and speak to them. I mean, the older Mfantsipim boys, the way they even speak.
So when you say older, you're talking about those who finished in the 70s, 60s.
You speak to someone like Dr. Akutu, and it's inspiring. Even the things they think about. You know, this guy invites us to his house every week to talk about this.
But my question though is, how did we allow all of that to go away in terms of the fact that now all the secondary schools don't seem to have the resources to train our kids in the way that we would like? I mean, I'm talking about the elite now.
Yeah.
All right, because the elite don't really send their kids back to those schools. Some may send them for a couple of years for experience, but a lot of them would rather pay for TIS, SOS, or...
Because there are big issues, right? Where there are living conditions. You know, I was at the funeral in Takoradi over the weekend, and I was wearing my MOBA shirt because it was a MOBA funeral. And the mother comes to me and says, oh, Mfantsipim is great, but please go and look at the sanitation. It's so bad. And I felt so bad.
Yeah. Wearing
my Ebusuapanyin shirt for somebody to come and tell that my schools abolitions are bad, the toilets are, you know. But what do you do to it?
Yeah.
You have government sending 4,000 students through a school that was built for 1,000 every year. At MOBA, we have to get our objectives right. We don't do anything that's not sustainable. So we're building you asked about what we're doing. We're building the Kwabotwe Center of Sports Excellence, which is a multi-million-dollar sports facility. I dare say to be the best in the East against Cycle School. MOBA is focused on that. We have people given millions of dollars, not simple money, to build the sports facility. This is MOBA's work because we feel like sports has always been part of Mfantsipim.
Yeah.
We build it so that we have a balance in education. But if we took that money and we put it into dormitories and say we expanded the dormitories to 10,000, the government will bring 20,000. So it's unsustainable.
No, but you need to stop the flow at some point.
We're doing a full study. But at Mfantsipim belongs to the Methodist Church. So we want our school back. That's all. Because we feel we'll do better.
Would you be able to run it, pay for it?
Why not? We're Mfantsipim boys.
As a public school?
We're going to run it as a non-profit school, right? And the money that the students go and pay to KIS and all these other schools, I don't even know where they are found, who their founders are, who they believe in, what they believe in. Right? Well, they'll pay to Mfantsipim, right? No, if you have Mfantsipim old boys paying 20,000 to these international schools, dollars.
It means that they have money to spend.
They have money to spend. So if we have, say, 500 fee-paying schools,
you can balance it and still
that's government money given us for 20 years.
And you can still bring in...
And then we bring needy but brilliant
regular
students on scholarship.
Correct. We
accept even free SHS students. But on merit. Not that somebody stands in the Ministry of Education and transfers people to our school. But then we go back to 150 years of excellence and meritocracy, where the rich subsidize the brilliant but needy.
Well, will this idea work only for Mfantsipim? Because I'm sure some other schools are listening and saying, because the problem you describe is not just an Mfantsipim problem. Achimota has the same, Presec has the same, I'm sure Augustine's, Adisadel. Should there be some schools given this leeway to try this?
I believe that there should be an eligibility criteria. You know, people can talk without doing the work.
Okay.
So if you want to have such a, you know, a mix of stakeholders, government has part, and put your money where your mouth is. If you can do it, do you have the seed money? What is the plan for the conversion? Will you be able to support this and transition? And what will be the policy? Will the policy be in line with the curriculum? But let's not make all schools mediocre. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So clearly, the schools that show the willingness and the ability to do this should be given a chance to do it.
Yes. In our case, I think we are very clear in our minds as old boys that that's what we want to do.
Have you engaged the government on this already?
We're planning first. I mean, we have a strategic plan. We want to be sure that we're ready.
Okay.
We've signaled the Methodist Church. They've signaled that, yes, they would want their school back so that we can bring that level of contribution to Ghana's education again.
Let's come back to the book. When is it being launched? Where is it being launched?
It's being launched at the Methodist head office tomorrow.
Okay.
And we expect to see a lot of distinguished guests there.
Okay.
Including you, Bernard.
Even though I haven't seen my invite yet, I'll take this as an open invitation.
And it's something. It's going to be, after we launch it, we have like 5,000 copies or so.
Just 5,000 copies. So you auction it for a project.
We'll auction it. It's going to go into the 150 and the sports complex and all these other things. And then it's going to be on Amazon afterwards. And it's a book there.
So there's a digital version available?
Yes, it will be available after the
launch.
But, you know, it's a book that everybody must have just because of the history.
I can't even wait.
You know, and the...
I can't wait.
The intellectual depth of...
Because it also gives the history, not just of this. Because once you talk about
Ghana,
it's a Ghana history, right?
Yeah,
so
it
will tell you about how other schools even came up.
Yes.
I'm sure. Because
Bartels was a co-founder of the government-assisted schools.
He was a co-founder from history of that.
Of CHAS, and then became the head of CHAS. So you see all the history of... But the questions you asked, how did we end up here? In fact, we were a mission school. Then we went for government assistance. Actually, we haven't seen any fiscal agreement as to how even that agreement works.
That's the lawyer and you talking.
Yeah. So the lands of Mfantsipim actually belong to the Methodist Church, not the government.
I know. You can make a case in court to take the school back.
We can go for determination.
But I think we have a reasonable minister. So let's go and talk to him first.
No. I think that the government should be open to this conversation. We're looking at what is good for Ghana. We're looking at how we can bring the importance of secondary schools and what they've done for Ghana back. We're looking at expanding free SHS, but also let's look at options of enhanced free SHS.
Wonderful.
You know, enhanced free SHS. And like I said, it just doesn't make any sense. Why FLB should be paying? I mean, just when I think about it, I'm very sad.
It's serious. And yet the heart of the alumni is still for the school.
Yeah.
So they will still go and donate
might
to
get
the
a
school.
good education, and I'm sure they are. I mean, very good education at SOS. But he will never get the spirit of Mfantsipim.
Because it's not transmitted by seed. It's transmitted by the time you spend there.
And the history.
After the launch, where will the book be sold?
Oh, it's going to be sold at...
obviously, Methodist Book Depot.
Methodist Book Depot with all leading bookshops.
Yeah. Does the new Methodist head office have a bookshop? It's a beautiful place. The Methodist is just next to your MOBA office.
Our MOBA office. And that's where our office is, our secretariat, our new secretariat.
It's a beautiful building.
Yeah.
It should have a bookshop. If it doesn't, you should create one there.
I will suggest it to the presiding
bishop. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Is the presiding bishop a Kwabotwe boy?
Unfortunately not. He said that it's something that he wished he had.
Where did he go?
But once he's a presiding bishop, he's an advancement boy. Yeah.
But he's to be fair, he actually also did some great work at Trinity College.
Oh yes.
He's
a
fantastic guy. Solid educationist.
This is a dynamic guy.
His ideas about education are very
progressive.
Very.
We are very hopeful that he
prolific writer too.
Yes. He's a very
solid guy.
Inspiring person.
He'll be there tomorrow?
He will be doing that by video because he's outside the country. Yeah.
So you'll be there?
Oh, I will be there, of course.
And so are you inviting these other people?
I've invited the president of your
Presec. He will come.
Dr. Sapon. I've called him. I've sent him.
No, he'll be there. I
told him he can't miss it.
No, he'll come.
He needs to read this book and see how he's going to transform.
Have you invited Joel Neti, Motown?
We've invited all of them.
All the old school.
Yes. But you Presec, I intentionally invited Presec. You have a dynamic school, but you're not old enough. So I want to give you my book so that you will see how you transform Presec.
Moses Baiden is the Ebusuapanyin. That's really, they call Ebusuapanyin because he's the chief alumnus of Mfantsipim School, representing 150 years of history. And next year, we'll talk to them again about next year, 150. It's a big thing. It's going to be really big. We'll talk to them about that. 1876 to 2026. Massive time in Ghana's history. We'll take a short break. Thank you, Moses. Always good to see you.
Yeah. Ebusuapanyin is the most important job I've ever done.
Nice. Oh, wow.
I consider it the most important job. I've got 150 years of
for somebody who runs a multi-million-dollar company, that's something big to say.
This is more important.
Wow.
It's 150 years of very good history.
It's the fifth Ebusuapanyin.
I represent many eminent ghosts.
This is the Citi